Okay, so after the part that we just read about Beowulf fighting Grendel, and then we hear a little bit about the lair, Unferth. So remember, this is the same person who like tried to bully Beowulf and make him look bad in front of everybody. Unferth gives Beowulf his sword, Hrunting, to go fight Grendel's mom, who has been coming to the mead hall. She was upset about her son, so she goes in and tries to kill a bunch of people, ends up killing the king's best friend. So now Beowulf has this sword. He's going to the lake where the monster's mother has the underwater lair. So he's fully armed. He makes a heroic dive into the depths of this watery hell. So we're starting here. So line 570, he leaped into the lake, would not wait for anyone's answer. The heaving water covered him over. For hours he sank through the waves. So this is hours he's swimming down to the bottom of the lake to get to this lair. So this is another like superhuman deed. Obviously, no one could go underwater for more than like a few minutes, and Beowulf is swimming down for hours. So then it says, at last he saw the mud of the bottom, and all at once the greedy she-wolf who'd ruled those waters for 100 years discovered him, saw that a creature from above had come to explore the bottom of her wet world. She welcomed him in her claws, clutched at him savagely, but could not harm him, tried to work her fingers through the tight ring-woven mail on his breast, but tore and scratched in vain. Then she carried him, armor and sword and all, to her home. He struggled to free his weapon and failed. The fight brought other monsters swimming to see her catch, a host of sea beasts who at his mail shirt, stabbing, tusks and teeth as they followed along. Then he realized suddenly that she'd brought him into someone's battle hall, and there's the waters. He could not hurt him, nor anything in the lake attack him through the building's high arching roof. Sorry, excuse the bell. So it says nothing could get to him. Nothing in the lake could attack him through the building's high arching roof. So a brilliant light burned all around him, the lake itself like a fiery flame. Then he saw the mighty water witch and swung his sword, his ring-marked blade, straight at her head. The iron sang its fierce song, sang Beowulf's strength. So Beowulf takes his sword and he swings it at Grendel's mom's head, and instead of like cutting her, it basically bounces off and makes like a loud like ding noise because it bounces off of her head like iron. So it continues here, but her guest discovered that no sword could slice her evil skin, that Hrunting could not hurt her, was useless now when he needed it. They wrestled. She ripped and tore and clawed at him, bit holes in his helmet, and that too failed him. For the first time in years of being worn to war, it would earn no glory. It was the last time anyone would wear it, but Beowulf longed only for fame, leaped back into battle. He tossed his sword aside, angry. The steel-edged blade lay where he dropped it. If weapons were useless, he'd use his hands, the strength in his fingers. So fame comes to the men who mean to win it and care about nothing else. He raised his arm, seized her by the shoulder. Anger doubled his strength. He threw her to the floor. She fell, Grendel's fierce mother, and the Geats' proud prince was ready to leap on her. But she rose at once and repaid him with her clutching claws, wildly tearing at him. He was weary, the best and strongest of all soldiers. His feet stumbled, and in an instant she had him down, held, helpless. Squatting with her weight on his stomach, she drew a dagger, brown with dried blood, and prepared to avenge her only son. But he was stretched on his back, and her stabbing blade was blunted by the woven mail shirt he wore on his chest. The hammered links held. The point could not touch him. He'd have traveled to the bottom of the earth, Edgethow's sun, and died there if that shining woven metal had not helped. And holy God, who sent him victory, gave judgment for truth and right, ruler of heavens, once Beowulf was back on his feet and fighting. Then he saw, hanging on the wall, a heavy sword hammered by giants, strong and blessed with their magic, the best of all weapons, but so massive that no ordinary man could lift its carved and decorated length. He drew it from its scabbard, broke the chain on the hilt, and then, savage, now angry and desperate, lifted it high over his head and struck with all the strength he had left, caught her in the neck and cut it through, broke bones and all. Her body fell to the floor, lifeless. The sword was wet with her blood, and Beowulf rejoiced at the sight. Okay, so basically, he tries his own sword. Nothing he's trying is hurting this monster, so it seems as though nothing can kill her. However, he sees this sword hanging on the wall, so it's a sword that was made by giants and was blessed with magic. So this appears to be the only thing that can kill her, and it's hanging in her own war zone, her battle hall in her lair. So that would be a paradox, is that nothing can kill Beowulf's mom except for this sword, or I'm sorry, nothing can kill Grendel's mom except for this sword. And she leaves it hanging in her lair in the battle hall. So something that would not be expected and doesn't really make sense, like nothing can kill her except for the sword until he uses the sword to kill her. So the story continues. The brilliant light shone suddenly as though burning in that hall, and as bright as heaven's own candle lit the sky. He looked at her home, then followed along the wall, went walking, his hands tight on the sword, his heart still angry. He was hunting another dead monster, and took his weapon with him. For final revenge against Grendel's vicious attacks, his nighttime raids, over and over, coming to Harrod when Hrothgar's men slept, killing them in their beds, eating some on the spot, 15 or more, and running to his loathsome moor with another such sickening meal waiting in his pouch. But Beowulf repaid him for those visits, found him laying dead in his corner, armless, exactly as that fierce spider had sent him out from Harrod, then struck off his head with a single blow. The body jerked for the last time, then laid still. Okay, so Beowulf finds Grendel, and as like a final revenge against him for everything he's done to Harrod and the men in the mead hall, he cuts off his head. So he says that, he cuts off his head. You see down here in the italics, it says Beowulf carries the head of Grendel to King Hrothgar and then returns gift-laden to the land of the Geats, where he succeeds to the throne. So Beowulf ends up taking the head back to show King Hrothgar that he found Grendel, and it's like kind of like a prize that he takes back to show off. So now that you are finished reading both of these sections, please take the quiz if you have not been taking it while we were reading together. And that is your main assignment with Beowulf this week.